Hey guys, tonight we slip into the surprisingly gripping tale of toilet paper. Who thought up this soft, crinkly lifesaver you take for granted? Picture yourself in a bustling ancient marketplace, the air thick with dust and the chatter of traders, as you dodge donkeys and sidestep questionable puddles. Your mission? Finding something, anything, to clean up after nature calls. Spoiler, you probably won't survive this without grimacing at what people used before that fluffy roll in your bathroom. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your city and local time. I'm curious where you're chilling as we dive into this. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You start in the ancient world, where hygiene wasn't exactly a TED Talk topic. Imagine you're in Mesopotamia around 3000 BCE, squatting by the Euphrates River. The air smells of wet clay and fish, and you're clutching a smooth stone, wondering if it's your best option. This is real. Archaeologists have found rounded pebbles in ancient latrines, polished by use in ways that make you wince. These pessoi were the go-to for many early civilizations, from Greece to the Indus Valley. You'd scrape, not wipe, and hope for no splinters. Mainstream history confirms this. Greeks like Aristophanes mentioned pessoi in plays, joking about their size and shape, probably while the audience nodded knowingly. But here's a quirky tidbit. Some Greeks used broken pottery shards called ostraca for the job. Yep, you're wiping with jagged ceramic, maybe even one with your rival's name scratched on it. Since ostraca were also voting tokens to banish politicians, talk about a power move. You can almost hear the marketplace gossip. Did you hear? Cleon's name was on my shard this morning. Historians still argue whether this was practicality or passive-aggressive art. Did people choose pottery for its scrape or its symbolism? Now you wander to ancient Egypt, where the elite had a fancier approach. You're in a pharaoh's palace, linen curtains swaying in the breeze, and servants offer you papyrus scraps. Not the fancy scroll stuff, discarded bits, softened by the Nile's edge. It's like using a crumpled Post-it note, but you're grateful because the alternative is a stick. Poorer Egyptians? They're stuck with grass or, brace yourself, dried crocodile dung mixed with plant fibers. You smirk, thinking that's a prank, but no, it's documented in ancient texts. Imagine the smell, like a swampy gem locker gone rogue. As you drift through these cultures, you notice water's a big player. In ancient India, you're by a riverbank, splashing with your left hand, a practice so ingrained it's still taboo to eat with that hand in some regions. The Romans, though, take it up a notch. You're in a public latrine, marble seats cold against your skin, and you grab a sponge on a stick, soaked in vinegar water. It's called a xylospongium, and it's shared. Yes, shared. You rinse it in a communal trough, praying the guy before you wasn't sick. The joke's on you if you think hygiene standards were universal. Some Roman sponges were probably filthier than the problem they solved. You pause, wondering how people survived without sepsis. The answer? Many didn't. Sanitation was a gamble, and infections were the house winning. Yet these early methods set the stage for what's coming. You're about to cross into China, where a game-changing material emerges. But for now, you're stuck in this gritty reality, clutching a stone or a sponge, hoping you pick the clean one. It's humbling, isn't it? Makes you want to hug your two-ply at home. And yeah, if you're thinking, I'd rather hold it, you're not alone. But stick with me, things get softer soon. You leave the gritty latrines of Rome behind. Sponge stick nightmares fading, and step into ancient China, where something revolutionary is brewing. It's around 100 CE, and you're in a bustling Han Dynasty city. The air hums with the scent of steamed buns and ink, scholars scribbling on bamboo strips nearby. You're about to witness the birth of paper, not for poetry, but for something far more personal. This is where the story of toilet paper starts to soften, literally. You smirk, thinking of those poor Romans sharing their sticks, but here, ingenuity is changing the game. You're standing in a workshop, the rhythmic thud of mulberry bark being pounded into pulp, filling the air. This is paper's origin, credited to Kai Lun, a court official in 105 CE. Mainstream history hails him as paper's inventor, though some argue he just improved existing techniques. Either way, you see workers spread the pulp on screens, drying it into thin sheets. It's rough, not your Charmin Ultra, but compared to stones, a dream. You run your fingers over a sheet, feeling its coarse texture, and realize this stuff's about to rewrite hygiene. Here's the quirky bit. By the 6th century, Chinese elites are using paper specifically for bathroom duties. You're in a Tang Dynasty noble's home, silk robes brushing the floor, and you spot a stack of cut paper sheets in the latrine. A text from the period by scholar Yan Zhetui snarkily notes that paper with writing on it shouldn't be used for the privy. Yep, people were wiping with recycled manuscripts. Imagine using your old homework for that. Same vibe. You chuckle, picturing a poet's verse meeting an undignified end. But historians still argue whether this was widespread or just an elite flex. Did commoners have access, or were they stuck with bamboo scraps? You wander to a village where you see farmers using leaves or wooden strips called chu. It's like a budget version of the Roman stick, minus the communal rinse. You grimace, thankful for the nobles' paper stacks, but notice even they're picky. Paper's pricey, so they're cutting it into precise squares to avoid waste. Efficiency, even in the loo. Now you're in the imperial palace, where the emperor's bathroom habits are next level. By the 14th century, during the Yuan dynasty, you find records of massive paper orders for the royal privy. 2 million sheets annually for the court, according to the history of Yuan. You do the math, that's a lot of wiping. The paper scented, sometimes dyed, and you can't help but joke that this is the original luxury brand toilet paper. Imagine the emperor, throne on the throne, demanding jasmine-scented sheets. You'd roll your eyes, but you're too busy marveling at the scale. You notice something else. China's ahead of the curve on hygiene. While Europe's still tossing waste out windows, you see Chinese cities with drainage systems and public latrines stocked with paper for the wealthy. You're in one, the faint smell of incense masking less pleasant odors, and you grab a sheet from a neatly stacked pile. It's a small luxury, but it feels like a leap from the crocodile dung days of Egypt, doesn't it? You're starting to get why paper caught on here first. As you linger, you overhear merchants chatting about trade routes. Paper spreading west along the Silk Road, but not for wiping yet, more for writing. You wonder when the rest of the world will catch up to this bathroom brilliance. For now, you're stuck admiring China's head start, holding a rough sheet that's softer than anything you've seen before. It's not perfect, splinters are still a risk if the pulp's sloppy, but it's progress. You joke to yourself, if you were stuck in this era, you'd be hoarding these sheets like gold. You're tempted to stay, but the story's pulling you forward. Europe's waiting, and let's just say it's not as fragrant. Remember those polished pesai from Greece? They're about to look like high tech compared to what's coming. For now, you tuck a mental note to appreciate China's paper pioneers and brace for the next leg of this journey, where things get messier. You step out of China's paper-stocked latrines, the faint scent of mulberry pulp lingering, and find yourself in medieval Europe. It's the 1100s, and you're trudging through a muddy street in a walled town. The air's thick with smoke, rotting food, and worse, way worse. You're dodging chamber pots emptied from windows above, and the ground squelches underfoot. This is the Middle Ages, where hygiene's more suggestion than science. You're hunting for anything resembling toilet paper, but spoiler, it's grim. Those Chinese paper sheets, a distant dream here. You duck into a tavern, the stench of ale and unwashed bodies hitting you like a wall. People are using whatever's handy, straw, grass, or, if they're fancy, cloth rags. You spot a farmer wiping with a handful of hay, scratching more than cleaning. It's mainstream history. Medieval Europeans relied on natural materials, as paper's rare and reserved for monks copying manuscripts. You wince, thinking of the splinters. Hay's not exactly quilted, is it? You mutter a quiet thanks for modern plumbing and move on. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some folks used gomp sticks. Picture yourself in a drafty castle, reaching for a smoothed wooden stick kept by the latrine. You scrape, carefully, because it's reusable. Yep, you're sharing a stick with the whole household. You joke to yourself, is this eco-friendly or just gross? Manuscripts from the period, like those by chronicler Gerald of Wales, mention these sticks in passing, hinting at their commonality. You imagine the castle's lord boasting about his polished oak gomp stick like it's a status symbol. Historians still argue whether the wealthy had better options. Did nobles use soft wool scraps, or were they stuck with sticks too? You're in a lord's manor now, stone walls damp with mildew, and you find a pile of torn linen, cast-off clothing maybe. It's a step up, but only barely. You notice the servants aren't so lucky. They're outside, crouching over a ditch with leaves. You grimace, picturing the itch. It's like nature's sandpaper, and you're not here for the exfoliation. You wander to a monastery where monks are hunched over vellum, scratching out holy texts. Paper's trickling into Europe via Spain, thanks to Arab traders bringing Chinese techniques, but it's still too pricey for wiping. You overhear a monk grumble about ink-stained fingers, and you're tempted to suggest he saved the scraps for the privy. But no, paper's sacred here, not sanitary. You chuckle, imagining a monk's horror at the idea. Defile parchment? Heresy, he'd probably shout. The streets outside are a mess. You sidestep a pig rooting through garbage, and the smell reminds you of those Egyptian crocodile dung wipes. Europe's not that far off. Some peasants mix mud and moss for a makeshift scrub. You're starting to think holding it might be the safest bet. Public latrines exist, but they're just benches over open pits, no privacy, no supplies. You picture yourself balancing there, praying for a quick escape. The joke's on anyone who thinks fresh air helps the vibe. As you weave through the town, you notice the rivers. People rinse with water, if they bother at all, but the streams are more sewage than solution. Europe's centuries behind, and it shows. Disease spreads fast here, cholera, dysentery, you name it. No wonder life expectancy's a coin toss. You're itching to move forward in time, hoping for something softer, but you're stuck in this mucky reality a bit longer. You pause by a market stall where a merchant hawks wool scraps as luxury wipes. You raise an eyebrow. Luxury's a stretch. But it's a hint of what's coming. Paper's slowly spreading, and with it, the idea that hygiene could be less medieval. For now, you're just glad you're not actually here, clutching a gomp stick or a fistful of straw. You joke to yourself, next time you're at the store, maybe buy an extra roll, just to celebrate surviving this era. You escape the muddy, straw-scratching world of medieval Europe, the stench of open ditches still clinging to your senses, and step into the 19th century. It's the 1850s, and you're in a bustling American city, gas lamps flickering along cobblestone streets. The air smells of coal smoke and fresh ink from printing presses. You're on the cusp of a breakthrough. Someone's about to claim the title of toilet paper's official inventor. But it's not a clean win. You're diving into a messy race of patents, egos, and entrepreneurs, and it's about to get as competitive as a Black Friday toilet paper aisle. You're in a New York office, wood-paneled and stuffy, where Joseph Gaiety is hunched over a desk scribbling notes. It's 1857, and he's marketing the first commercial toilet paper, flat sheets, not rolls, sold as Gaiety's medicated paper. You pick one up, feeling its stiff, hemp-based texture, infused with aloe for that therapeutic touch. Mainstream history credits Gaiety as the first to package toilet paper for sale, with ads boasting it prevents hemorrhoids. You smirk. Imagine the infomercial. Soothe your woes with Gaieties. But it's pricey, 50 cents for 500 sheets, so only the wealthy are buying. You're not sure if it's genius or just a fancy rag. Here's the quirky tidbit. Gaiety watermarked every sheet with his name, like he's branding your bathroom break. You imagine wiping with his signature and chuckle, talk about leaving your mark. But not everyone's sold. You overhear shopkeepers grumbling. Most folks still use catalogs, corn cobs, or, if rural, leaves. You wince, remembering those medieval gomp sticks, and realize progress is slow. Gaiety's sheets aren't catching on like he hoped. Too expensive, and who needs medicated when Sears catalogs are free? Historians still argue whether Gaiety deserves the inventor crown. You're now in Albany, 1891, where the Scott brothers, Clarence and Edward, enter the scene. You're in their paper mill, the hum of machinery drowning out conversation. They're producing toilet paper on rolls, a game changer. Their brand Scott Paper patents perforated rolls, making it easier to tear. You hold one, marveling at the neat perforations, a far cry from China's hand-cut sheets. The Scotts aren't just selling paper, they're selling convenience, and you can feel the shift. But here's the catch. Some claim Seth Wheeler, another New Yorker, patented the roll first in 1871. You dig through patent records, squinting at sketches, and wonder who really cracked the code. You wander to a general store, shelves stacked with Scott rolls and competitors' knockoffs. The clerks pitching them as splinter-free, and you nod, thinking of those hay-wiping days. But toilet paper's still a tough sell. People are embarrassed to buy it outright. You overhear a customer whisper for discreet wrapping, and you stifle a laugh. It's like buying contraband, but it's just TP. The Scotts get around this by selling to hotels and stores, not direct to shy customers. Smart move, you think. Let someone else handle the awkward. You notice the industrial boom fueling this. Paper's cheaper now, thanks to wood pulp processing, unlike the costly hemp or linen of earlier days. You're in a factory, watching logs churned into pulp, then pressed into rolls. It's loud, dusty, and smells like wet sawdust, but it's progress. You joke to yourself, this is the real paper trail of history. Yet not everyone's on board. Rural folks stick to corn cobs, red ones for rough days, white for gentle, as the old joke goes. You cringe, thankful for the rolls in your hand. As you leave the factory, you realize this patent race isn't just about paper, it's about dignity. No more shared sticks or catalog scraps. You're starting to see toilet paper as a quiet revolution, but it's not global yet. The Scots and their rivals are setting the stage, but the world's still catching up. You're itching to see how this spreads, but for now, you're stuck in this noisy, ambitious era, holding a perforated roll and feeling oddly proud of it. You leave the clatter of 19th century paper mills behind, the scent of fresh ink and wood pulp fading, and step into the early 20th century. It's the 1920s, and you're in a bustling American suburb. Model T Fords rumbling past picket fences. The air carries the faint whiff of laundry soap and progress. Toilet paper's no longer a rich man's quirk. It's going global fast. You're about to see how rolls become a household staple, transforming bathrooms from gritty to mostly dignified. But it's not just about paper. It's about machines, marketing, and a world ready for convenience. You're in a massive factory, the roar of automated cutters filling the air. Rolls of soft, white toilet paper zip along conveyor belts, stacked high for shipping. This is the era of mass production, and mainstream history points to companies like Scott Paper and Kimberly-Clark leading the charge. By 1928, Kimberly-Clark's introducing splinter-free tissue, a selling point you nod at, remembering those medieval hay wipes. You pick up a roll, softer than Gaiety's stiff sheets, and marvel at the tech. Wood pulp's now bleached and refined, making paper cheap and smooth. It's like holding a small miracle, and you're not even joking. Here's the quirky tidbit. Some brands start selling gay-colored rolls in the 1930s, pink, blue, even lavender. You're in a department store, eyeing a display of pastel toilet paper, and you chuckle. Who's matching their bathroom decor to their TP? Apparently plenty of folks, since ads tout elegance for your powder room. You imagine a housewife bragging about her mint green rolls like it's the new chandelier. It's peak consumerism, and you're here for the absurdity, though you'd stick with plain white, thanks. Historians still argue whether marketing or necessity drove the boom. Was it clever ads or just indoor plumbing spread? You're in a newfangled bathroom now, porcelain toilet gleaming, a far cry from Europe's pit latrines. Plumbing's standard in urban homes, and you realize toilets demand paper. Corn cobs won't cut it anymore. You smirk, thinking of those rural red and white cob jokes, but here, rolls are king. Companies lean into this, with Scott Paper's 1930s ads showing smiling families, implying their TP's the secret to domestic bliss. You roll your eyes. Really, guys? But it works. You wander to a grocery store, shelves groaning with brands like Charmin, Northern, and Scott. Prices are down, so even working-class families can afford rolls. You overhear a clerk say it's outselling soap, and you're not surprised. The Great Depression's looming, but people prioritize paper over frills. You joke to yourself, when times are tough, at least you've got TP. It's a small comfort, but you feel it. The rolls here are perforated, double ply, and thankfully, no one's whispering for discreet wrapping anymore. It's just another item in the cart. You notice global ripples. In Britain, you visit a London shop stocking Bronco, a rougher roll, but still a hit. Japan's catching up, blending China's ancient paper know-how with modern factories. You're in a Tokyo market, spotting rolls inspired by traditional washi paper, thin but tough. It's a nod to those Tang Dynasty sheets you saw, and you appreciate the callback. But not everywhere's on board. Rural areas worldwide still use leaves, rags, or hands. You wince, grateful for the roll in your hand, and wonder how long it'll take to go truly global. As you leave the store, you see a billboard, soft as a cloud it claims, with a fluffy roll floating in the sky. You laugh, marketing's getting wild, but it's working, and toilet paper's embedding itself in daily life. You're starting to see it as more than a product. It's a cultural shift, like electricity or radio. People expect cleanliness now, not just tolerate filth. You're itching to explore what's next, but for now, you're in this humming, hopeful era, clutching a pastel roll and feeling oddly optimistic about humanity's backside. You step out of the 1920s, leaving behind pastel rolls and jazzy ads, and find yourself in the 21st century. It's 2025, and you're in a brightly lit supermarket aisle, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead. The shelves are a dizzying array of toilet paper, quilted, scented, eco-friendly, even bamboo-based. The air smells faintly of plastic packaging and ambition. You're here to explore the modern twists on this once humble invention, where toilet paper's not just a necessity, but a lifestyle choice. From luxury rolls to pandemic panics, you're about to see how far this paper trail's come. You grab a pack labeled Ultra Plush Triple Ply, and it feels like a cloud in your hands. Mainstream history notes that by the 2000s, companies like Charmin and Quilted Northern pushed softness to new heights with air-cushioned layers and lotions. You're amazed. Compared to those medieval gomp sticks, this is like wiping with a silk pillow. But it's not just comfort, it's branding. You scan the aisle, recyclable, sustainable, hypoallergenic. Companies are selling values now, not just paper. You joke to yourself, when did TP get a personality? Here's the quirky tidbit. Some brands sell novelty rolls with printed patterns, dollar bills, emojis, even political slogans. You're in a quirky gift shop now, holding a roll with cartoon avocados, and you can't help but laugh. Who's buying this for their guest bathroom? Apparently plenty of people, since Etsy's full of custom TP designs. A 2020 trade report mentions novelty paper spiking during lockdowns when folks wanted a chuckle with their essentials. You picture someone unrolling a YOLO print mid-pandemic and snicker. Bathroom humor's gone literal. Historians still argue whether modern toilet paper's evolution is driven by innovation or excess. Is all this plushness necessary, or are we just spoiled? You're at a trade show now, where a vendor pitches smart toilet paper with QR codes linking to mindfulness apps. You raise an eyebrow. Really? A bathroom meditation? But it's not a total gimmick. Japan's leading the charge with high-tech toilets that pair with specialized paper, some infused with aloe or vitamin E. You're in a Tokyo showroom, testing a roll so soft it feels like a betrayal to those Tang Dynasty scholars you met. They'd probably faint at the decadence. You reflect on the 2020 toilet paper shortages, a global frenzy you can still feel. You're in a memory of empty shelves, people elbowing for the last roll like it's the apocalypse. News archives confirm it. Panic buying swept the US, Australia, even Singapore, with TP sales spiking 700% in March 2020. You joke, forget gold, toilet paper was the real currency. It showed how deeply this stuff's woven into modern life. No one's going back to corn cobs or leaves. You shudder, recalling those Roman sponge sticks, and hug your plush roll tighter. Sustainability's the new buzzword, and you're noticing it everywhere. You're at an eco-expo where a vendor hands you a bamboo-based roll claiming it's carbon neutral. You're skeptical but intrigued. Bamboo grows fast, unlike trees, and brands like Who Gives a Crap are pushing this hard. You read the packaging. 50% of profits to sanitation charities. It's a far cry from Getty's watermark sheets, and you respect the hustle. But not everyone's green. Some still crave the ultra-thick rolls. Deforestation be damned. You sigh, caught between comfort and conscience. As you leave the expo, you spot a viral X post about bi-day converts swearing off paper entirely. You're curious but not sold. Paper's still king for most. You're in your own bathroom now, staring at a humble roll, and it hits you. This isn't just paper. It's a story of human ingenuity, from China's pulp to today's eco-warriors. You joke one last time. Maybe you'll try the avocado print, just for kicks. For now, you're ready to wind down, the hum of modern life fading as you hold on to this soft, absurdly complex invention. Wind down. You're back in your cozy bedroom, the world outside quieting as the night deepens. The toilet paper tale lingers, soft as the roll on your shelf, a reminder of how far we've come from stones and sticks. Picture yourself drifting through history's pages, each era folding into the next, like sheets torn from a roll. The marketplace bustle, the factory hum, the avocado prints, they fade into a gentle blur. You're safe now, no need to hoard or scrape. Let the day's worry slip away like water down a stream, clean and calm. Your eyelids grow heavy, the fans hum a soothing lullaby. Rest easy, knowing tomorrow's roll is waiting, soft and ready. Sleep well, dreamer.